Hey friends, it's Elias Whitaker. Imagine this, 68 years old, scrubbing a hotel bathroom at 2 a.m. You pick up a rich man's dropped wallet. Inside, one old photo, a newborn with your exact crescent moon birthmark on the wrist. The baby everyone said died 34 years ago. The man who owns it sees your wrist. His face turns white and he whispers, "You were supposed to die that night. With her." That second changed everything. Here's the full story. Polished, complete, no breaks, exactly as it happened. Every quiet sacrifice, every hidden truth, every step toward justice. It was a bitter Boston winter night, the kind where the wind slices through your coat and makes your bones ache. Around 2 in the morning, the Grand Meridian Hotel felt almost serene. Marble floors gleamed under soft golden light from crystal chandeliers. The lobby bar had long since closed, leaving only the faint hum of ice machines and the distant murmur of the city outside. Most guests were asleep in rooms that cost more per night than I earned in 2 months. I was the night shift janitor. 68 years old, navy uniform worn thin from years of use. My back hurt every time I bent to lift the mop, but I never minded the quiet hours. No supervisors hovering, no guests glancing through me like I was part of the furniture. Just me, my heavy cart, and the soft echo of wheels rolling down empty hallways. That night, I was finishing the men's room off the lobby bar, the kind of restroom that looked more like a luxury lounge. Gold faucets, thick cloth towels folded neatly, mirrors so large they reflected the entire room. I wiped down the sinks, checked the stalls, made sure everything was spotless. That's when I saw it. A slim black leather wallet lying on the tiled floor near the last stall. Expensive looking. The kind you drop without noticing because you own a drawer full of them. I picked it up. Hotel policy was clear. Turn it straight to the front desk, no questions asked. But something, maybe curiosity, maybe instinct, made me open it first. Just to check for ID, I told myself. Inside, a stack of crisp $100 bills, platinum credit cards with no visible limit, a driver's license for Victor Langford, late 60s, silver hair, eyes that carried the weight of too many years. And tucked carefully behind the cash, one small, faded photograph of a young woman holding a newborn baby. She had gentle brown hair pulled back in a soft twist, eyes full of quiet joy, the kind of smile that reaches deep into your chest. The baby was wrapped in a pale blanket, tiny fists curled tight, gazing up with that unfocused, brand-new stare. But the birthmark on the baby's left wrist stopped my heart cold. A small, perfect crescent moon, slightly raised, darker than the surrounding skin. The exact mark I had carried on my own wrist every single day of my life. My mother, Evelyn Whitaker, used to call it my little moon gift. She said it was a family trait that skipped generations, nothing special. When I was a boy and asked about baby pictures, she'd get a distant look in her eyes, mumble about a house fire when I was 2 that burned every photo, every keepsake. No hospital bracelet, no stories about my first steps or my first smile. Just the mark and her quick change of subject. Now I stood under those bright, unforgiving bathroom lights, holding a stranger's wallet, staring at undeniable proof. The baby in that photograph was me, held by a woman who was not Evelyn Whitaker. My hands began to tremble. The wallet felt heavier than it should. Somewhere in the hotel, an ice machine hummed. Faint jazz drifted from the closed bar. The world kept turning, but I couldn't move. Who was this woman? Why did Victor Langford carry a photo of me as an infant? Why had Evelyn spent my entire childhood steering me away from every question about my early years? I should have walked to the front desk, dropped the wallet in the lost and found box, gone back to my cart and my ordinary routine. But my feet refused. I checked the key card tucked inside. Suite 1902. The presidential suite. Top floor. I left the cart parked in the hallway. Took the service elevator up. Every floor that lit up felt like another door closing behind me. I kept repeating to myself, just hand it over. Ask one simple question. Leave. But deep down I knew I was already crossing into something I could never undo. The 19th floor hallway was thick burgundy carpet, soft lighting, oil paintings on the walls that probably cost more than my lifetime earnings. The air smelled of fresh lilies and old money. I stopped outside 1902, heart pounding so loud I thought it would wake the entire floor. Raised my fist, hesitated, then knocked. Long silence. Then footsteps inside. The lock turned. Victor Langford opened the door in a dark silk robe. Hair slightly mussed, expression irritated at the late disturbance. He glanced at my uniform. Quick, dismissive, barely registering I was there. "You dropped this, sir," I said. My voice sounded strange, distant. He took the wallet without a word, flipped it open, checked inside. Then his eyes found the photograph. His face changed in an instant. Not surprise, something much deeper. Recognition mixed with raw, aching pain. Like an old wound tearing open. He looked up at me. Really looked for the first time. Then he reached out, gentle but firm, and took my left wrist, pushed up the sleeve. When he saw the birthmark, his breath caught sharp. His hand trembled. He stared at it like he was seeing a ghost. "That's not possible," he whispered. "They told me you were dead, that you and your mother both died in the accident 34 years ago." His eyes filled with tears, not polite ones, but deep, decades-old tears that had been waiting for this exact moment. "Come inside," he said, voice cracking. "Please, I need to tell you who you really are and why someone made sure the world believed you were gone." He stepped aside. I walked in. The door clicked shut behind us, soft, but final. The suite was vast. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the Boston skyline, city lights twinkling like scattered stars against the dark. A grand piano sat in one corner, fresh flowers on every table. The air smelled of polished wood and expensive cologne. I stood just inside the doorway, suddenly feeling small and out of place in my wrinkled uniform, hands still carrying the faint scent of cleaning chemicals. Victor walked past me without speaking, went to the bar cart near the window, poured amber liquid into a glass with shaking hands. It sloshed over the rim. He didn't notice. Drank half in one swallow, then stared out at the city. The silence stretched between us, heavy and suffocating that I could hear my own heartbeat. Sweat formed on my palms. Every instinct told me to leave, go back to the elevator, pretend this night never happened. But I stayed. Finally, he turned. Up close, the lines on his face told a story of grief carried for decades. "How old are you?" he asked quietly. 68. He closed his eyes briefly, as if the number hurt. "And the woman who raised you? What was her name?" "Evelyn Whitaker. She passed 5 years ago. Heart trouble." He nodded slowly. "Did she ever tell you about your father?" "Said he left before I was born. That he wasn't a good man. That we were better off without him." A strange sound escaped his throat. Half laugh, half sob. "Of course she said that. She had to protect you." "Protect me from what?" He gestured to the couch. I sat on the edge of a chair that probably cost more than 3 months of my pay. "Before I say anything," he said, "you need to understand something. What I'm about to tell you will sound impossible, like the ramblings of an old man who's lost his mind. But I swear to you, on everything I have left, it's the truth." I nodded, didn't trust my voice. He reached into his robe pocket and pulled out the photograph, held it gently, like it might crumble. This woman was my wife. Her name was Lydia. We were married 7 years. She was the kindest person I ever knew. Volunteered at shelters, laughed at my terrible jokes, wanted a family more than anything in the world. His voice caught. He paused, collected himself. "We tried for years to have a child. When she finally got pregnant, we thought it was a miracle. We decorated the nursery, picked names, made plans for the future." He looked at the photograph again, thumb brushing the image of the baby. "Our son was born on October 12th, 7 pounds even. Perfect in every way. He had this birthmark on his left wrist, this little crescent moon shape. The doctors said it was harmless, just a unique mark that would stay with him forever." Victor raised his eyes to meet mine. "We named him Elias. Elias Langford." The room tilted. I gripped the chair arms to steady myself. 3 weeks after he was born, I had to leave on a business trip. My partner insisted, said the deal couldn't wait, that we'd lose everything if I didn't go personally. So I kissed Lydia goodbye, held my son one last time, and I flew out. His hands trembled again. 2 days later, I got the phone call. There had been an accident. Lydia's car had gone off a bridge. The vehicle caught fire on impact. By the time rescue workers arrived, there was nothing left. They told me my wife and son were dead. Tears streamed down his face now. He didn't wipe them away. I buried 2 caskets that week, stood in the rain, and said goodbye to the only people I ever truly loved. And for 34 years, I believed they were gone. He leaned forward, eyes locked on mine. "But you're sitting here right now, with that same birthmark, with a face I see every time I look at old photographs of myself as a young man." He paused, voice dropping lower. "Whatever Evelyn told you about your life, it wasn't the full truth. You weren't abandoned. You were hidden. And I need to know why." I couldn't breathe. The luxurious room suddenly felt too small. The air too thick. This man, this stranger with tears running down his face, was telling me my entire existence was built on a lie. That the woman who'd raised me, who'd worked double shifts until her hands bled, who'd never bought anything for herself so I could have shoes that fit, was not my mother. You're wrong, I said, voice rougher than I meant. Evelyn raised me. She sacrificed everything for me. You don't get to sit here and tell me she was lying. Victor didn't flinch, he just looked at me with tired, grief-worn eyes. I'm not saying she didn't love you, that I'm not saying she didn't raise you well. But think about it, Elias. Really think. Did she ever show you a birth certificate? Hospital records? Baby pictures from before you were 2? The words died in my throat. She hadn't. Every time I asked about my early years, she changed the subject. Every time I wanted photos, she mentioned the fire that destroyed them, a fire I had no memory of, a fire that conveniently erased every trace. The woman in that photograph, Victor continued softly, was holding you 3 weeks after you were born. I took that picture myself. Afternoon light through the nursery window. She looked so happy, happier than I'd ever seen her. He stood and walked to a desk near the window, opened a leather briefcase, pulled out a thick manila folder. I've spent 34 years trying to understand what really happened that night. Hired investigators, paid lawyers, never fully believed the official story. The timing was too perfect, too clean. He handed me the folder. I took it with numb fingers. What do you mean, too clean? He sat back down. When he spoke again, there was old anger beneath the grief. Anger that had simmered for decades. My business partner at the time was a man named Raymond Caldwell, that we built the company together from nothing. Started in a garage with borrowed money. Turned it into one of the largest manufacturing firms on the East Coast. But Raymond was never satisfied with half. He wanted everything. I flipped through the folder. Financial records with highlighted discrepancies. Legal filings. Newspaper clippings about lawsuits and hostile takeovers. A few weeks before the accident, Victor said, Lydia came to me worried. She'd found irregularities in the company books. Money moving to accounts she didn't recognize. Contracts with companies that didn't exist. She was smart, smarter than me in many ways, and she knew something was wrong. His jaw tightened. I told her not to worry. Said I'd look into it after the baby was older. I was so focused on being a new father. I didn't take her seriously, and that decision cost me everything. You think Raymond caused the accident? I don't think it. I know it, but I've never been able to prove it. The police ruled it an accident. The insurance company paid out. Everyone moved on, except me. He pointed at the folder. After Lydia died, I fell apart. Couldn't eat. Couldn't sleep. Raymond used that time to consolidate power. Convinced the board I was unstable. By the time I realized what was happening, he'd taken control of the company. Everything Lydia and I built together gone. I looked at a photograph in the folder. Younger Victor standing next to a man with cold eyes and a politician's smile. Raymond Caldwell. But none of that explains how I ended up with Evelyn. Victor nodded slowly. That's the piece I could never find. Evelyn Whitaker worked as a housekeeper at our estate. She was there when Lydia was pregnant. When you were born. Quiet. Kept to herself. But Lydia liked her. Trusted her. My blood ran cold. Your mother worked for us. Then, 3 days before the accident, she disappeared. No notice. Just gone. I didn't think much of it at the time. Staff came and went, but now I understand. Lydia must have known she was in danger. She must have given you to Evelyn to keep you safe. The realization hit like cold water. Evelyn didn't leave her job. She ran. With me. Victor leaned forward, eyes burning with intensity. Someone warned Lydia. Someone gave her enough time to save you. And for 34 years, Evelyn kept you hidden. The question is, who else knew the truth? And what was Raymond willing to do to make sure it stayed buried? I sat there until the sky outside began to turn gray with dawn. The folder lay open on the coffee table between us. Photographs, documents, pieces of a life I never knew. Victor eventually fell asleep in his chair, exhaustion finally catching up after decades of carrying this weight alone. That I didn't wake him. Instead, I sat in the silence and tried to make sense of it all. Evelyn Whitaker had worked in the Langford home that she'd known Lydia personally, and 3 days before the accident that supposedly killed them both, Evelyn vanished with a newborn baby she would raise as her own for the next 3 decades. I thought about all the years she'd worked factory jobs until her fingers were raw, the tiny apartments with clanging radiators, the way she never complained, always making sure I had food on the table, shoes that fit, even when it meant she went without. I'd spent my life thinking she was a saint, a single mother who'd given everything for her son. Now I saw the truth was even bigger. She hadn't just raised me, she'd hidden me, kept me alive when powerful people wanted me dead. And that small wooden box she'd left me when she passed, the one she made me promise never to open, it was still on the top shelf of my closet. exactly where I'd left it 5 years ago. That I'd honored her wish because I loved her, because I trusted her, because I thought some secrets were meant to stay buried. But now I knew better. Whatever was in that box held answers. That I left the hotel as the morning crew started. Arriving at my supervisor gave me a strange look when I clocked out. Probably wondering why I looked like I hadn't slept. That I didn't explain. That I walked out into the cold morning air and headed home. That my apartment was the same as always, small, worn, a lifetime away from marble floors and crystal chandeliers. That I stood in the doorway for a moment, seeing it with new eyes. This was where Evelyn had hidden us. This was the life she'd built to keep me safe. I pulled a chair to the closet, reached up to the top shelf. The box was dusty, sealed with yellowed tape, and my hands shook as I carried it to the kitchen table. That I grabbed a knife, cut through the tape. Inside, a stack of documents. That a birth certificate I'd never seen before. Name, Elias Langford. Born October 12th at St. Catherine's Hospital. Mother, Lydia Langford. Father, Victor Langford. Beneath it, a handwritten letter. The paper fragile and faded. That I recognized Evelyn's careful handwriting instantly. The same script she'd used for grocery lists and birthday cards. My dearest Elias, if you're reading this, I'm gone. And the time has come for you to know the truth. That I'm sorry I couldn't tell you while I was alive. That I'm sorry I had to lie to you every single day. But everything I did out of love. Not just my love for you, but the love of the woman who gave you to me and begged me to keep you safe. That I had to stop. Tears came too fast, blurring the words. That I wiped my eyes and kept reading. Lydia Langford was the kindest person I ever met. She treated me like family when I was just the help in her house. When she discovered what her husband's business partner was planning, fraud, threats, everything, she came to me in the middle of the night. She put you in my arms and told me to run. She said Raymond Caldwell would kill anyone who stood in his way, including an innocent baby. She said she would stay behind to buy us time. I never saw her again. The letter went on for pages. How she fled the city with nothing but clothes, a small bag of cash, and a newborn. How she changed her name, took factory jobs, moved from town to town until she felt safe enough to settle. How she watched the news report the tragic accident and knew Lydia had given her life so I could live. The bottom of the box, a small velvet pouch. That I opened it carefully. A gold locket. Inside, a tiny photograph of Lydia holding me. On the other side, an inscription for my son. May you always know how deeply you were loved. I sat there a long time, letter in one hand, locket in the other. Then I picked up the phone, called Victor. When he answered, my voice was steady. I found proof. Letters, documents, everything. Long pause on the other end. Then it's time, he said, voice thick. Time to make Raymond Caldwell pay for what he did. Come back tonight. Bring everything. We're going to finish this together. I hung up, looked around my small apartment one last time. The man who'd lived here yesterday was gone. In his place stood someone new. Someone with a name. A history. A purpose. Raymond Caldwell had stolen my family, my inheritance. 34 years of my life. Now I was going to take it all back. The next days blurred into motion. Victor had spent decades preparing, gathering evidence, building a case, waiting for the one piece he never thought he'd find. Me, the living witness to Raymond's crime. The son who was supposed to be dead. First, the DNA test. Victor had kept a tiny lock of my baby hair from the hospital, snipped the day I was born, preserved in a sealed envelope for 34 years. We sent samples to 3 different labs under different names in no room for doubt. While we waited, he showed me the full scope of what Raymond had done. Boxes of documents filled the suite's second bedroom. Financial trails leading to offshore accounts. Witness statements from employees paid to stay silent. Medical examiner. Reports that contradicted the official cause of death. I couldn't move against him without proof you existed, Victor explained. Everything else could be explained away. Raymond has lawyers who make problems disappear, but you can't make a living person disappear. Not when that person is the rightful heir to half of everything he stole. The results came back on the 3rd day. All 3 labs, 99.99% matched to Victor Langford. The son he'd buried 34 years ago had never been in that casket. I was alive. I was real. And I was about to become Raymond Caldwell's worst nightmare. Victor's lawyers filed claims immediately, established my identity, froze assets tied to the original Langford company. That we contacted Harriet Kane, sharp, no-nonsense journalist who'd built her career exposing corporate criminals. That I met her in a private law office room, told her everything. The wallet, the birthmark, the letter, the DNA. Showed her the evidence Victor had collected over 3 decades. When I finished, she sat back. "This is the biggest story I've ever seen," she said. "If it checks out, Raymond Caldwell is finished." The first article dropped quietly, a teaser asking long-buried questions about Lydia Langford's 1991 death. Stock in Caldwell Industries dipped 7%, enough to make him nervous. Then the warnings began that I came home one morning to find my door unlocked. Inside, the wooden box open, letter and locket gone. In their place, a typed note. "Some secrets should stay buried. Stop digging, or you'll join them." No signature. No fingerprints. My blood ran cold, but not from fear, from something colder. Harder. We moved faster. Victor hired private security. They watched me. Watched Raymond. He started sweating. Increased calls to lawyers. Pulled small amounts from accounts. Met a fixer in a parking garage. Harriet's second article hit hard. DNA results. Letter excerpts. The insurance policy Raymond took out on Lydia's life. $8 million for accidental death. Headline: Heir presumed dead returns. New evidence points to murder and fraud. They used my name. Elias Langford. The internet exploded. Former employees came forward. A secretary. A mechanic who'd serviced Lydia's car. He said the brakes were tampered with, but the report was changed. Federal investigators raided Raymond's storage unit. Found the original police report. Found my locket and Evelyn's letter. He'd kept trophies. The U.S. Attorney's Office announced an active investigation. Raymond released a statement. "Baseless accusations. We will vigorously defend." But he sounded desperate. Then he called me 11 at night. Unknown number. Elias. Raymond Caldwell. I put it on speaker. "Mr. Caldwell," I said calmly. "To what do I owe the pleasure?" Long pause. "You're making a mistake. You have no idea what you're stepping into." "I think I do. You killed my mother. You tried to kill me. You stole everything from my father. Now the world is seeing it." His voice cracked with rage. "You think you can take me down? I built this that you're nothing. A janitor playing rich." I looked at Victor. He nodded. "Then why are you calling me at 11 at night?" I asked. "Why do you sound afraid?" Silence. Then, quieter. "Walk away. I'll give you millions. No questions." I let the silence stretch. "No deal. You took 34 years from me. You took my mother's life. You took Evelyn's peace. Now I'm taking it all back." I hung up. 2 days later, federal agents knocked on Raymond's mansion door. Warrant in hand. They let him out in handcuffs. Cameras caught every second. He looked small, old, broken. The trial lasted 4 months. Courtroom packed every day. Victor and I sat in the front row. Simple suits. We didn't look like billionaires. We looked like men who'd waited decades. Raymond sat with 3 high-priced lawyers. Still carried himself like he owned the room. But I saw the cracks, shaking hands, quick glances, sweat. On his lip, charges. Conspiracy to commit murder, fraud, embezzlement, obstruction, money laundering. Prosecution built the case methodically. Financial experts showed millions siphoned. The insurance policy $0.8 million. Witnesses testified. Retired detective. Fire too hot, too fast. Pressure to close the case. Former accountant. Threatened into altering books. I took the stand on a gray Tuesday. Courtroom silent except for the creak of the chair. I looked straight at Raymond. Our eyes met. His face went pale. I didn't look away. "State your name." "Elias Langford." Murmur rippled. I told the story. The wallet. The birthmark. Meeting Victor. Evelyn's letter. I read the letter aloud. Lydia begging Evelyn to run. Jurors wiped their eyes. I described the note in my apartment. The SUV threat. The phone call from Raymond. Defense tried to rattle me. Called me a convenient claimant. Suggested I fabricated it for money. I answered calmly. I didn't know until 34 years had passed. Evelyn kept me hidden to protect me. She died never telling me, because she feared this man. I pointed at Raymond. He made sure no one would look closely. Last question. How can you be certain Evelyn didn't steal you? I took a slow breath. Because she gave her entire life to keeping me safe. She worked until her hands bled. Never bought anything for herself. Loved me enough to live in fear, so I could live it all. That's not stealing. That sacrifice. Courtroom dead quiet. I stepped down. Victor squeezed my hand. Prosecution's final witness traced every stolen dollar. Raymond didn't testify. Only character witnesses. It felt thin. Closing arguments. 2 days. Prosecutor ended simply. This is not about money. It is about a woman who gave her life for her child. Another who gave up her own life to protect that child. And a man who believed he could erase them both for profit. He failed. Jury deliberated 3 days. 4th morning. Guilty. All counts. sentenced 2 months later. Life without parole. He died in prison 8 months later. Heart attack. Alone. The fortune, $380 million after taxes and fees. But money was never the point. I paid off Evelyn's old medical debts. Bought our apartment building. Turned it into affordable housing. Named it Whitaker Place. Founded the Lydia and Evelyn Foundation. Support for abuse victims. Scholarships for kids who've overcome impossible odds. First recipient. A young woman working 2 jobs while finishing nursing school. Just like I once sent money to my foster sister patients. Now a nurse with her own home. Victor and I bought 2 modest houses next door. Quiet street that we eat dinner together most nights. He tells me about Lydia, her laugh, her gardening, how she sang to me before I was born. I tell him about Evelyn, her strength, her faith, how she taught me honest work has dignity. That on anniversaries, we visit 2 graves. Lydia's in a peaceful cemetery overlooking the river, Evelyn's in a small east side plot under a simple marker I bought when I had nothing. That we bring flowers for both, that we say the same thing. Thank you for saving me. I'm trying to be worthy. I still walk past the Grand Meridian sometimes. That I remember the night a dropped wallet changed everything. That I used to think my life was small, invisible. Honest work was all I'd have. Now I know. I was hidden. 2 women chose me over their own safety. One gave me life. One gave me a childhood. That I carry their love like armored. My name is Elias Langford. For 68 years I answered to another name. But who we are isn't in names. That it's in the people who loved us enough to fight. That if you feel invisible, if your struggles feel small, hear this. You matter. Your story matters. Sometimes truth arrives in the smallest moment. A wallet on the floor. A photograph. A birthmark that refused to stay hidden. Keep showing up. Keep doing the honest work. Because you never know when everything changes. Thank you for listening. If this touched you, share it. Until next time, remember, you're richer than you know. Not because of money, but because of the love that carried you here. Take care.